she's only got 2 plants.
Oh, yeah, yeah, they can bruise a lot. That was planned.
Yeah.
Her family lives up in Shelby, so they got to do it. And her sisters on it. And they have 3 50-foot rows. So, okay, I don't know how much ours is in, you know, from 2 plants.
Yeah.
I mean, each one of those has got to have.
We got to have some kind of operation to take care of it.
They got jugs all over the place outside. So it's Sunday, fill it up with whatever flavor you want.
Something.
And it's like tea.
Sunset.
Sun.
Yeah,
Sunset. Well, you can make hot
I never
ones.
tried it.
Yeah, it's all kinds of stuff in a
Yeah.
service store.
I mean, they must have had what it was, 60 gallon, looked like a gallon jugs. Sitting up on the rail.
I do 13 inches.
If we stick, you know, all kinds of different colors and just
Driest position for it to be, so, to see that food, you know, how you feel about that?
I don't know if it's up to us and where it gets moved to. It's the libraries, isn't it?
It's on city property.
No, it's been donated to the city by the library.
Okay.
It is ours, we can essentially put it where we want, we'd have to pour a pad down there, so there would be some cost. But, I think it would be much more utilized in that location. If you can buy right now, Steve, you could probably put it on top where the tanks are. Maybe we could put it there, Scott, with all the fills. I know we don't fill a ton down there, but it's a pad. I don't remember where
I would
I'd be
probably
leery
be
over the gas
hesitant.
tank.
Yeah, and I don't know if there'd be any fire marshal issues, not state fire marshal. Cause I think, is it ag or state police that regulate? Yeah.
Yes and no.
Somewhere between the pavilion and the.
Yeah, I mean, we find a place for it.
Playground, yeah, so, okay, with that,
So is council good relocating it down the
I
village?
would, I mean, we don't like it there, I mean, it's not terrible hard to move.
No, it's a little top heavy, but wouldn't be a problem.
Got that fancy new loader, we should get
They're not putting it in the loader. We'll get a flatbed.
For sure, take a new section of pavement.
yeah, it has to be on a solid, bolted down,
Yeah.
facing itself.
There's not an open spot now that would really be appropriate, other than, well, not on top of the gas tanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does have, there was one comment that one of the benches is missing, but that's actually for a wheelchair accessibility. So there's just benches on 3 sides.
I need stand.
Wherever you
In
feel
front of the
comfortable.
cameras or behind, your choice.
I don't know if I want my face in there. Okay, so, thank you guys for your time, this evening, I appreciate it. So I contacted Scott, because over the last 1.5 to 2 years, we have been working on a broadband study for all of Muskegon County. Long ago, 2 years ago, the initiative was started by Windsor Dick. They kind of said, hey, we have a lack of broadband in Muskegon County, let's put together this work group in this committee and discuss it. So we did, and we all agreed, yes, it's a problem. And I said, okay, so we've convened all these people, who wants to take it over? Well, we took it over. So after quite a few meetings with our executive team for the broadband committee and then the broader team, we decided to put out proposals, a request for proposals for a broadband study for all of Muskegon County. We received 3 proposals back. We discussed them between the larger committee and then the executive committee, and came to the determination that none of the 3 proposals were what we saw fit, nor did they meet the needs of what we were seeking. So we kind of then went back and forth, okay, can we work with our providers to then get their information and sign NDAs, put our own GIS map together, and then we'll do all the work and go from there. that became a problem because only one provider would share their GIS data with us. So then we kind of, it was the same as we did with the other companies, exact same outline, and they sent us their proposal back. What is different about this is all the other three had surveys that were attached to them. So they were going to survey residents. Please raise your hand if you know exactly which service you have, your download speed, and everything like that. Okay, one. Who would actually even fill it? Two. Who would actually fill out a survey, period, if it was mailed to them? Okay, XYZ, or 123 XYZ Street in Whitehall, Michigan. Would love to sign up for service. I'm sorry, we don't have service in your area. Well, I know they do because they're two doors down. That's what this study tells us, is that they can provide that service and then how much it will take and how much it will cost to provide that service. So they'll take all of that data, parcel by parcel, and then they'll put it on a GIS map for us. And then we'll be able to take this data, which is what the providers and the state and federal government want from us to get those dollars to then extend broadband into every single community in the county. So that's what we're looking at right now, is we're looking at fundraising for this study to be done, so then we can show the return on investment, not only to the communities to invest, not only for the providers to invest, but then letting us know what we have and what our capabilities are and what we're missing, because we're certainly missing quite a bit. It is putting it in front of their board for 25. Greater Muskegon Economic Development, we're putting in 10, and then have a few other presentations throughout the community and the county for other funders. We'll be asking every municipality, and we also have businesses that we're asking as well, just because it's become so important, not only for remote workers, but for telehealth, for virtual learning. Baker College is almost 100% online courses, so if you don't have access to broadband, you can't go to Baker College. If you're somebody who is elderly and have a doctor's appointment, but don't have transportation, and you can do telehealth, but don't have access to internet, well, you're kind of stuck in this sticky situation. So that's really what the idea is to really serve the underserved, and make it so we have this available in our county. And then again, for talent recruitment and attraction. So it's become, broadband has become a necessity, just like water, sewer, electricity. If you want people to move to your community and to your county, if you want businesses to do the same thing, and increase your tax base, you need broadband in the county. So, does anybody have any questions?
So,
Lots of questions, go for it.
so would this broadband be available to like all of us for a dollar amount? Would it be free broadband? What's the end goal with this?
The end goal is to get the study so we have the data to bring to the providers and to the state and federal officials who are giving out these federal and state dollars.
The city of Whitehall for $10,000.
Yeah, so that's a good question. I had the same thing from Muskegon Charter Township.
Fair is fair. I would say 132,000 divided by 27 would be the way to go.
Yeah, so not everybody's going to give. And we understand that. So what we're doing right now is really targeting the communities that are going to benefit the most from the services. So with the city of Whitehall and the city of Muskegon and the city of North Shores, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that's where most of the residents live. And that's the whole idea behind it. It may seem like like you are served, but you're not fully served to the capabilities and capacity that you should be. We're still going after like Cedar Creek Township and
Yes, sir.
Is the basic ask for all the communities the 10,000?
yeah, so all the
That's your
cities,
starting point?
so all the cities were asking 10. And the larger townships, Report and Muskegon, were asking 10. And then once we get down to the smaller townships, we're at 5 or like 25. And that's if they even let us present in front of their boards. Because we understand, you know, I mean, everybody has ARPA money, everybody has this, everybody has that, and that's great, but they have projects that they already have the money allocated towards. Oh, and I forgot to mention for Lynn Township, they're contributing $10,000.
I guess what I'm confused about, I'm not real tech savvy, so bear with me. But is this going to, I mean, the city of Whitehall is serviced by,
They're not gonna take their place on what they currently have installed. They're gonna take their place with fiber. Because that's what the end goal is. For fiber is what's, I don't wanna say it's new, because it's not new. It's the next step in the long-term, goal for, broadband connectivity, because it's higher speed. Normally it's underground. There's much more capability and capacity of fiber, not only for business, not only for residential, but also for businesses. So it can allow other providers to come in and have a more competitive market. And I know that's happening in one community right now, where a fiber provider is coming into that community, and they will be another option for those individuals in that community. So it becomes a competitive market rather than you're stuck with one provider.
All right. Thank you for that. I think you've given us enough to chew on. It's not the place to make that decision.
All right. Well, if you guys have any questions, let me know. Scott, you got an email?
I do.
All right.
So give me a shout.
Yep.
And we'll go from there.
Thanks, Morgan.
All right. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
So next, let's move to the Lakefront property. I know that's a timely concern.
Yep, and it'll be short. I think we talked about maybe having a realtor come out there and appraise it, or, you know, give us some sort of value. And, you know, depends on what the realtor, you know, their opinions vary.
Sure.
At least here, we've got some sort of consistency and some decent number, because my fear is if we actually send these letters out, we're gonna get bids from $100 to $500. Because whenever municipalities are selling money, it's only worth 10 cents on a dollar. When we're buying, it's worth 10 times what it's valued. So that's my request, is if I can put a minimum $30,000 bid on it.
What did we have down here, one parcel or two parcels?
We have one parcel and it's 0.26 acres, quarter of an acre, a little more than a quarter acre.
Is it maybe it was across the street from two property owners possibly?
Yeah, yeah, for the most part, and then we've got property owners to the north and south, and then some that are kind of a little bit more angled. I think if the bids are where we would hope that they would be, council would give strongest consideration to the ones that are immediately adjacent, which is 4, and I think there's 6 property owners that have expressed an interest.
And that's not anything that's buildable, right?
Not unless the water drops quite a bit. Yeah, there's not much shoreline at all, but it would potentially allow for a dock or some lawn chairs. You know, I don't think you can build anything on it.
I just would have a problem with selling it to somebody, thinking that we were selling it, you know, maybe for
for the people to access the lake, because they had the adjacent property across the street. And somebody else came along and outbid them, and actually has the finances to maybe build a house on still practices with, food trucks, and would like to see our regulations tightened up. I think it's, certainly a worthy request that we should maybe look at them and see if they do, at least make the effort to see, are they where we want them to be. I think that's a reasonable request. And then I would say any of the council that has strong opinions on that could express it to Scott, to staff, let them know. I think that's the route to go with that.
I think from just a safety point, looking at that, I think one of the nails on the head would be make sure that the egress or the way to get food is not out in the lane. You know what I mean? If they got to turn park opposed, you gotta know it's at the end of the snowmobile, or that's a good route.
I think
For
so.
people on and off the lake with ice fishermen and everything else. You know, especially to get around the Eastbrook housing complex down there, I mean, it makes sense.
Well, staff has no issue with it, and we've got no strong opposition
Chief?
from the residents on Lake Street, then I don't have any opposition.
I'll have to hear from Chief.
They can use the path from, the trestle bridge down to the Eagles, and that keeps them off the street that's curved. And then once they get off, if they're going south of Eagles, their street's not curved. So it's not really an issue, in that way. I thought one of the concerns that I had was coming off from the trail to get down to Lake Street. We used to block that off, and I thought it was because of the angle, the curve, that there was concern that they would crash into the rails that line the sidewalk.
I know that.
Brian says that that's not an issue, so I have no issue.
I would hope that if they were going to use that route.
That's my only suggestion on that whole thing, so.
I don't have any opposition to it.
Okay. Think there's any opposition to it?
We'll come back with an ordinance amendment.
Next, skate park. Skate park, I've had numerous individuals talk to me about wanting a skate park, specifically at the old tennis courts here. I've talked to professionals that design them, and they think it's a wonderful spot. They're excited that it could be a real destination. It's something that I certainly would think would be
There's kids out there, and they're having fun, and kids will be kids. I mean, one group will get old enough, they won't do it anymore, and then the next one will come in and do it, so. I think Steve, like you said, I think it'd be a good thing.
I'm not in favor of any more parks for the city. We don't have the resources or money to take care of the parks that we have right now. We sure don't need any more. That's just my personal opinion. But, I mean, I realize the splash pad, money-wise, it's use. If you use it, you're taking the risks yourself, like the sledding hill.
Right.
We're not responsible for a kid going down the hill and breaking their arm unless we know that there's an inherent danger and we don't address it. Then we're liable.
Yeah,
Otherwise, we're not.
I think, looking at this, I think a committee or a group, including some high school kids, or however, I mean, you were in contact with somebody, I mean, get a group together and put their heads together, presentations. I think
be saying we want it, unless we see some sort of positive input from the community. Roger, you had.
I was just gonna comment that we've dealt with skateboarders in Owasso because the downtown businesses were always complaining that the kids were using their curbing or their flower boxes or whatever for their skate stunts. And so the city went with a temporary park, and we put it all the way out at the far corner of the city, but the kids still made that trek all the way down there. And even though it was a temporary park, they used just prefab steel structures. They still are in the same place. They've never done more than that, and it's still being used.
and it gives you guys a place to push it. Hey, you guys can't be at Ely or wherever, like you said, or at Goodrich, wrecking our benches, and we know that's happening, and we replace benches because of that. Guys, go over here.
Right for that.
In the winter, is it used at all or not? Not really.
I would say not as much, but there's still crazy kids out
Yeah,
there.
as soon as it's done enough, they're on it, yeah.
Well, I use more than tennis courts in there.
Yeah.
Right.
The point of having parks is for public access. If we put some structure in there for them to use, and people use it, that's the whole point of having a park system.
My intent is not to kick anybody out, but when those properties are sold, I don't want them selling to make another non-retail business. You know, I want availability for mom and pop. If they wanna put a candle shop in, or if they wanna put whatever. I mean, I want the downtown to be open. I want it to be vibrant and selling stuff. You know what? I want that. I don't wanna see a corner lot taken up by an insurance agency. Is there anything, either ordinance or through planning commission, essentially, I can't think of the word, zoning? I mean, is there anything we can do to make sure that gets done? I mean, I don't know, Will, if there's.
Yeah, let me look at the ordinance that we have. Is that one of the new ones
Yeah.
that they changed? Let me look at that and I'll bring that back next.
Yeah, that would be
Next time.
perfect, cause that's what, I want stuff being sold downtown, I don't wanna have to,
Yeah.
I mean, and if they're off on a side street, off on Division, or on, that's fine, I don't have an issue with that, but the main drag on Tip, when you drive downtown Whitehall, I wanna see selling. And second floor, great, I mean, like you said, Scott, if they wanna put the stuff up there, and put a whatever up on top, or a business, or a apartment complex, hey, great, more for us.
I guess the only drawback I see with that,
Even for the next budget, to just budget for some fencing down there, find out how big a.
Ryan Briegel, Pitkin Drug. I think most of you know me. Couple things came up that I'll comment on it. I agree with you on retail, and what Dick said is also true. If you have a building, I'd love to see retail on the first floor, but if the building's sitting empty for a year, you can't get anybody in there, you gotta get what you gotta get, you know. So I agree with you. I'd love to see it, but it's just, unfortunately, it's not always plausible, yeah. I think we got one right now in the old Colby Place building across the street from us. That's for rent right now. I don't know where Scott Geiger used to be. Secondly,
Part done, now that we're done trees. Right by my garage.
All right, anyone else got anything they wanna add, talk about? Well, let's adjourn for the next meeting.
Take your name, please.
Take your name, please. Thank you for that reminder. That's the first time I've ever seen them lit up.
Yeah?
I didn't even know there was a light up there.
I did not.
Yeah, me either. I just saw that.
Leave it to the tech guys.
Yeah. Man, you're blinking, Dick.
Yeah, Scott was blinking.
Yeah.
Well, I guess for the sake of everyone, when you talk, speak up.
When we
Got
adopt
a
the
volume control on?
agenda number
Yeah,
three.
what's that? I think that's what that is. It's even got a speaker. Or I mean,
Earphones.
Okay. So is that something we wanna do after the adoption or prior to?
As part of,
Okay,
when you adopt the, just remove item
Okay.
number 3. Terry's,
It's Ford, $2,778 for brakes, ball joints, and alignment. How old of a vehicle are we putting this kind of money into?
I think that's actually a 2017 Ford pickup from DPW.
I thought it was listed under a police department.
I don't think was it one of your cruisers?
206.
I think that those come through, when they're accounted, because I will get the stack of all the bills, and, I'll have to sign one or two.
Ryerson's at 46,917. Double L at 52,265. And basically, we get the impression McCormick's didn't really want to talk about it, so it's a not to exceed at 46,917.
Good.
And I might have mentioned to council, my cousin just built a house on a lake, and he had one put in because he had high water table issues in his basement. And I tell you, that thing worked like a gem, and it flowed real nice back out the lake.
Good. Thank you.
all right. No further comments there, Keith?
One quick thing, the buffer strip on Benston, have you made any contacts with any of those people yet?
I have not as yet, but the LDFA board said, go ahead and make the offer.
Can we hold on making those contacts till Jeff presents with the limestone work session?
Well, it is actually owned by the LDFA, so
Okay.
it's really their property to dispose of. If there's good reason to go back to LDFA in October, then we could do that. It's not something that,
And it was still to sell it, it's still on the same premise, it would just be a different idea versus what we were talking about premise.
okay. We could hold off on that, cause your next, work session is gonna be in September. LDFA meets in October. I don't think any of the there is one business that is, busting at the seams, so to speak.
Okay.
But at this point in time, they're not gonna be doing a lot as, if we do move forward with the sale, finalize it, winter's gonna be on top of us, or at least. No, because that's one of the, temporary permanent outdoor seating areas that you have authorized.
Okay.
Sean?
Oh, I just want to say I had a pretty good time a few days back with our, albeit belated fireworks. It was still a very good show. Had a good time with the pub pedal in town too. It seemed to be very well attended, and was a great day for it.
Okay. Scott?
Oh, here I go. Get to make some friends again. First thing is the Slocum Street Zigzag Park, whatever it is called, unless something's been done with it in the last day, is an embarrassment to the city. You can't even walk down it without ducking. I mean, the stuff has grown from one side to the other side over top. And, it's just terrible. the next thing that relates to the same thing is, coming into our city on Colby, you come down to the bottom of the hill and you're greeted by weeds growing under and over the guardrails. Then you got 2 houses there with very unkept lawns. And then you got an empty strip mall that's got 3-foot high weeds growing in all their stones out by the road. Then you probably have at least 8 or 10 election signs sitting there that are ordinance violation as far as I'm concerned. And then you got a motel that used to be very well kept that isn't well kept anymore. I just don't see where our city is very welcome looking when you come into it. And then once you...
For somebody to sit, so I think it just got missed. One picnic table would probably suffice. I'm glad to see in the TIFA notes at LDFA that they're looking at clock repairs or replacement. Also looking at the fire pit activation button. I think that's a great thing.
Definitely.
Like I said, Ludington has one on theirs. I took a picture of it. It's just a button that says push here. So I tried to get a company name off that, but it wasn't there. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Last week I spent a couple of days in Cadillac as far as the Michigan Association of Mayors, it's not a real conference, but a workshop. And it was very enlightening and to listen to the subjects that they brought up. It was great talking with other mayors and finding out what their problems are. And pretty much their problems are the same as ours, just bigger city, bigger problems, the same nature, but we're still pretty well off compared to a lot of them. I heard a lot of great comments about Whitehall, and I was very happy to be there and represent our city. So it was a good time. Sorry I missed the community picnic. I was up there for that. I always enjoyed that community picnic because it is such a wonderful thing to see the community out and the kids down at Goodrich Park having a great time. All right, with that, we have public comment next. Anyone wishing to speak, please come up to the podium, give your name and address, and you have 3 minutes to comment. I see no one. I say we move on to old business. Scott, do we have any old business?
We do not, Your Honor.
Okay, new business. We have resolution 2241 right-of-way easements.
I'll move to accept the resolution 2241 right-of-way easements.
Second.
Seconded. Any discussion, questions?
I have questions.
I'm sure Scott can answer it.
Pardon?
I'm sure Scott can answer that question for you.
On mirrors, it looks like, I don't really understand this thing. Why is that one corner is, these things confuse me. These sketches. Yeah, okay, so what is the corner down here with the lines in the corner?
That's the area that we're looking to obtain an official easement. Jennifer Groh owns the property at that corner, and basically, in order to make the curb radius adequate, we need to get an easement for that little 30 by 40 foot strip of property.
So there's gonna be curb shape.
Probably not. That's just is gonna be within the road right away. And it's actually part of the asphalt's there now. So we're going to officially have an easement on it.
Pretty easy to figure out. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. Been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Connell?
Yes.
Holmstrom?
Yes.
Heidelberg?
Yes.
Sickinga?
Yes.
Malali?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Salter?
Yes. Resolution 2241 is approved. Next is resolution 2242, lot split request.
I'll move to approve the lot split request.
Second. Been moved and seconded. Any questions, comments?
Yes.
Yes, sir. I figured I'd get it on the board for
You
you.
got 'em too,
Yep.
huh?
All right. Well, that's,
This one's got me totally out of sorts. I can't figure this lot out.
Okay, the 4.5, the larger piece, to the north is currently, where Brad and Erica Van Bergen live. The maroon colored house.
Right.
The property to the south is owned by 56 Nash. It's a rental property that's got a pole barn on it. What they would like to do is add a lean-to to the north side of that pole barn. But as you can see, it's listed as a garage in that small area. And they want to build the lean-to to the north, which would obviously be on the Van Bergen's property. So they're looking to have a lot split and purchase basically that 25-foot wide by 203-foot strip between the two.
Okay, so they're,
Where it
so
kind of says
actually,
alternate B.
actually, we're looking at a lot split on the Van Bergen
Correct,
property.
correct.
All
We're
right.
splitting a piece off of Van Bergen's so that 56 Nash can purchase it.
Okay, because I was looking at their address
Yeah,
and wanting to split, and I thought, that lot's only 100 by 200, it's not big enough to split.
correct.
Mm-hmm.
that's the one with the garage on it?
Yeah,
But it's being added to.
so this, from what I'm gathering though, this is another, we're looking for forgiveness instead of,
That was my question.
Well, yeah. Because they actually came in and Brooke brought back the title work. Because we send that through equalization, and I said, wait a minute. So we got a hold of two of the parties that are owners of 56 Nash, and what they had brought in to City Hall back in June was some of this paperwork, but also the building permits. And they handed it to staff, and staff saw that it was a building permit, so they put that in Brian's box, because that's where the building permits go. So it went south, and they were working on the building permit, and also, kind of questioning whether or not they had a zoning approval. But we didn't catch us in time to put it on the August planning commission meeting. So that's more of an explanation. It is not, the acquisition of the property is kind of an issue, mainly for the property owners, but it is not really a violation of our ordinances, because it's your responsibility to approve lot splits. We have the option to send it to planning commission for review and recommendation. Our SOP has always been just to start with planning.
right.
So
Right.
you still have the right to send it back to planning, accept or reject.
Do our ordinances say anything about what you can put under a lean-to?
No.
Is the lean-to enclosed or is it open?
I think it's just,
It's just a roof coming off
and
the
I
other?
haven't seen the site, well, they gave me a site plan, but no construction documents. That was another thing that threw us off with the building permit. But my understanding is it's just gonna be a roof opened on 3 sides. The fourth side would be the side of the garage. That's my understanding.
No, this is the same garage that's a pole building that we approved an addition onto the front of it probably 3 years ago.
Correct.
And I specifically remember that it was said at that time that the front of the pole barn was supposed to be made to look like the house, which has never been done, as far as I'm concerned.
That was approved by the city manager, by the way.
I think we also, at that time, required some sort of pavement from the
Correct.
road.
An approach
an
on the
approach.
garage.
And this would actually, well, I think the concern was, well, part of it was that part of that gravel driveway was encroaching on the property to the north. With this lot split and the acquisition, then that would kind of negate that. But I would have to go back and double check on the apron requirement.
I thought there was some specific apron requirement that hasn't been met, but that's, would be something for you to check on, but.
Yeah, if there's any outstanding issues as part of the new site plan
Right.
approval, that would have to be.
This would be the time to look at all of it and make sure everything complies. So what's the, council's,
So once this, I mean, essentially, we're just doing the lot split now. Once we get to that point, the rest of it will go to planning.
Right. Well,
Not as a residential. If this is approved, they will have to come and get a site plan.
Okay,
As a residential, that's approved by the zoning administrator,
Okay.
myself.
yeah,
okay,
Once that's approved, then they have to go to building to get the building permits.
okay,
So 2 more steps.
okay.
so as far as just the lot split, I guess I don't see a problem with that, now that I know what we're looking at here.
sure,
And
anyone else like to weigh in on that? Or just wanna push it to the roll call? Apparently not, so we'll move forward with a roll call, please.
Malali,
Yes.
Holmstrom,
Yes.
Heidelberg,
Yes.
Sickinga,
Yes.
Connell,
yes,
Brown,
No,
Salter,
Yes. Resolution 2242 lot split request is approved. We next have public comment again. Anyone wishing to speak to the council, please step to the podium. Obviously nothing, okay. Next is a closed session to discuss acquisition of real property.
I move we go into closed session to discuss the acquisition of real property.
second,
Been moved and seconded.
roll call,
Roll call, please.
Roll call.
Holmstrom,
Yes.
Connell,
yes.
Sickinga,
Yes.
Heidelberg,
Yes.
Brown,
yes.
Malali,
Yes.
Salter.
Yes. All right, we're closed session. We ask all non-requirement